So that's the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War ends, so it's not an issue anymore. They did away with the draft, and suddenly it's not an issue anymore. And I didn't think about it. And then during the 80s, I got caught up in the anti-communist crusade because the Pope was fighting communism. And yeah, by God, we're all against communism, aren't we? Thank God for those courageous Poles and so on and so forth. And then the Berlin Wall came down and the communism ended. And great, great. And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, why are we going to war again? Who are these people? They're called neoconservatives. Everybody knows they're Jews, but you can't say that because polite people don't say the word Jew, and they're dragging us into a war. And I couldn't believe it. And so that was, so suddenly the anti-war movement resurrected. It was, I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll write an anti-war song. And at this point, I got involved with Irish music. I had been involved with, I was in a band in Germany in the 70s, and I lost interest. And then suddenly there's this neo-ethnic revival, and I got involved and I wrote an anti-war song. And then I was going to Switzerland, and it was like the scene in Casablanca where they stand up and sing the Marseillaise. So I'm singing, "Tell George Bush we won't fight in this war," and in Austria, and everybody's singing along, and I think this was great. Didn't stop the war though. And so the net result. So at that point, I mean, I also protested against the war in Serbia. We stood on bridges here because the Serbs were standing on bridges. There was no justification whatsoever for these wars. I think there was a dubious justification for Vietnam, but after the fall of communism, there was no justification whatsoever. And I was just furious at the duplicity and mendacity, and it led me, the war in 2000 invasion of Iraq propelled me to write the Jewish Revolutionary Spirit. That was God's plan, I think, from all eternity, because I thought, I can't explain this. We know the Jews are pushing for this war. You can't say it. Well, what's the political angle? Well, Irving Kristol was a Trotskyite in the 30s, and now he calls himself a conservative. So you can't define this according to any political calculus. It's got to go deeper than that. And that's why I said, the Jew is a rebellion against Logos. Logos is the order of the universe. When they rejected Christ, they became revolutionaries, and that's what they've been ever since. And so I wrote that book 10 years ago. That book came out 10 years ago.
Why did we go into these wars that we have yet to extract ourselves from?
For Israel, for the benefit of Israel. Israel has taken over our foreign policy. It's obvious. We are now on the verge of another war, aren't we? With Iran this time. It is all driven by Israel. And if you can't say that, you can't understand anything that's going on with the main source of war in the world today is Israel pushing America into wars in the Middle East.
Okay, how do they do that? How does that happen?
By giving money to people like Donald Trump. You're screwing up like classic American foreign policy because of this fixation on Israel. And if you say that, you're an anti-Semite. They've shut down this discussion ferociously. The Representative Omar Ilhan tried to bring this up. Everybody came down on her. Cynthia McKinney tried to do this years ago. You just cannot object to Israel's control over America's foreign policy. You cannot do it. And to get back to the Catholic angle, where is the Catholic Church now?
I know. I was going to ask you that.
Completely missing in action. That's another thing that we should talk about here.
9/11, inside job or no?
Are you trying to get me in trouble here? Are you trying to get me?
I just want to know what you think. I just want to know what you think. I mean, come on, you have to have an opinion on that. Like,
yeah,
I've never heard you talk about it.
It was an inside job, yes.
All right, next question.